Hi everyone, my name is Shawn, in case you don't know, and welcome back to another video. You probably can't tell, you might be able to tell, I literally didn't get any sleep last night, so let's just crack into this. I'm tired, I might stumble over my words some, oh well, it'll be okay. So a type of video that I really enjoy watching that I haven't done much on here is tags. Now I say that, and I completely understand that I don't know how to say the word T-A-G. I've never been able to say it. You know, you'll just have to bear with me and understand that I just can't say AG ever. So the tag that I will be doing today is the Unpopular Opinions book tag. I will be including all of the questions down in the description below if you want to do this tag yourself. I'm not going to be tagging anyone in these tags because I don't like tagging anyone, and I personally have never been tagged in one of these, but I just think it would be fun to do. So let's get into the questions or prompts or whatever you want to call them. The first one is a popular book or series that you didn't like. I've read this book as an ebook, so I don't have this book physically with me, and even if I did, I would have donated it to a secondhand store because I really didn't like it. And that was A Darker Shade of Magic. I only read the first book in the series, and I absolutely hated it. I read A Darker Shade of Magic for like 2 readathons and a book club on Instagram, and they were like all at the same time, so it sort of fit for all the things. A Darker Shade of Magic, in case you don't know, is about this like alternate fantasy universe where there is 3 different Londons. So there's Red London, White London, and Grey London, and there's 2 people who can travel between these different types of Londons, and those people have magic. All of these different Londons have varying amounts of magic in them. I don't remember off the top of my head which one's which, but I know that there's one that like basically doesn't have a magic, and I know that there's one that has like some magic. I don't want to go too much more into it. Just know that there's 2 main characters. One of the main characters is someone who can travel from these different Londons, and the other main character, I remember her name, is Lila, and Lila is a cross-dresser, thief, con artist type person, and she doesn't have magic. Now, I didn't like the book at all because I personally found it really boring. I didn't like Lila at all, which is hard when you don't like one of the 2 main characters. So that was not fun to read. Also, I'm just going to warn you ahead of time, this is sort of a spoiler, but it's not really a spoiler. I just want to say there is a trigger warning for attempted sexual assault in here. Not going to go more into detail into that because I don't want to spoil it. I just want to put it out there because I know that some people can find that really triggering, and it can stir up some really negative and hard to deal with emotions in some people. So yeah. The next prompt is a popular book or series that everyone seems to hate but you love. Now, I didn't really have one for this, so I just chose one that I know that some people don't necessarily like all that much. But I know that a lot of people still love it, so I don't even know if this one is good for this prompt or not, but oh well. I really enjoyed the Divergent series. I loved all of the books in the series, and I know a lot of people didn't like the 2nd and 3rd book in the series, but they enjoyed the 1st book, and a lot of people even hated the 1st book. Now, why do people hate this series? Because of what happened at the end of Elysian, and because they think Insurgent is boring, and because they think this is a Hunger Games ripoff. But let me just say, this isn't a Hunger Games ripoff. Yeah, it's not. I don't know why people were calling it a Hunger Games ripoff before, but it's really nothing like the Hunger Games at all. And I can see how you might not like Insurgent or Elysian all that much, but I personally really found them enjoyable. The ending of Elysian was really sad to me, but I still enjoyed it, and I didn't hate it, so yeah, I love this series. Next up is a love triangle where the main character ended up with a person you did not want to end up with, or an OTP that you didn't like. Now, there's a lot of OTPs that I didn't like, so I'm going to focus on the love triangle part of this. And the love triangle that I'm going to be focusing on is from the Hunger Games. So I feel like everyone has already read the Hunger Games, so I'm just going to spoil it. There is a love triangle between Katniss, Gale, and Peeta. And Katniss ends up with Peeta. Gale is like the best friend that's always been there for Katniss. And I think really what like made it so that Katniss didn't end up with Gale is the whole like bomb situation that killed Prim. But I don't consider that Gale's fault, and trust me, I don't really ship Gale and Katniss that much, okay? So bear with me for a second. I really don't ship Katniss and Peeta at all. I don't see any chemistry there, and I don't understand why they ended up with each other. And because of that, I'd rather have her end up with Gale than Peeta. I think Katniss would be better with like another person that she hasn't met yet, you know? But yeah. I wanted Katniss to end up with Gale if she had to end up with one of them, but instead she ended up with Peeta, and I was upset, you know? So that's a love triangle that I was a little disappointed in. The next up is a popular book genre that you hardly reach for. Now, I was gonna say like thriller, mystery, or horror for this, but I've actually read some of those type of books recently, even though I didn't enjoy them, so I have reached for them recently. But a genre that I haven't reached for, like in the whole entire past year, is historical fiction. It just doesn't interest me as much. When I was really little, I really enjoyed historical fiction. I don't know if anyone remembers, but there was a series called like My America or Dear America or something, and it was these historical fiction like journal type things with edges that weren't like straight, like deckled edges. See, like this is straight. They had deckled edges. I actually still have some of them, and I have some that I haven't read yet and that I'm gonna read in the future because I just really enjoyed them when I was younger. They were historical fiction and they were really interesting and cute to me. But now I just don't really reach for it as much anymore. There are some historical fictions that I do hope to read in the future, but it's just not my go-to genre anymore. Next up is a popular or beloved character that you didn't like. And I'm going back to the Hunger Games series for this. I didn't like Joanna Mason. There was just never anything that interested me about her. And when the Hunger Games series originally came out, a lot of people were like, I love Joanna, and I was like, don't really see it. Also, when I was younger, I did Hunger Games role-playing, and me and the person who played Joanna constantly got into fights. That hindered how much I liked the character too. The next up is a popular author that you can't seem to get into. Now, I wasn't really sure what to choose for this one. I didn't want to choose V. Schwab or Victoria Schwab because I've only read one of her books, to be honest, and I don't feel like that gives me a fair reading of her as an author, so for this I'm choosing John Green. I did read 2 of John Green's books, and I did give them 3 out of 5 stars each, which generally 3 out of 5 stars for me is like, I enjoyed parts of it, or overall I somewhat liked it, but I wasn't like a super huge fan. And I read Paper Towns and Will Grayson, and those were just like okay to me, and I didn't understand the hype for John Green when I read those ones. I do have all of John Green's other books, and I do hope to read them in the future, but as of right now, I just can't really get into John Green. I keep putting off reading his other books just because the ones that I've read don't really interest me, but I do hope to read all of his books in the future because I love John Green as a person. So yeah. Also, I don't know if you can see, but whenever I put my hands up, they look weird. The next prompt is a popular book trope that you're tired of seeing. Now, I was trying to think long and hard about this. So I don't know if you know this about me, but I generally read a lot of books that are like old books. I'm not really up to date with a ton of books, and I read a lot of books that aren't as well known, so they don't necessarily have many tropes in them per se, so I don't really identify tropes that much. I know that a love triangle is a trope, but honestly I don't mind love triangles that much. So the only thing that I think is a trope that I didn't really enjoy when I read one book with it, again it's only one book so it's not really a fair judgment of this trope, but that is fake dating. I do have Frankly in Love, and I do want to read Frankly in Love in the future, even though it has fake dating in it, but I read To All the Boys I Loved before, and I absolutely hated it. So yeah, part of it was the fake dating. The fake dating really drove me insane. The next prompt is a popular book series that you have no interest in reading. This one is really easy for me, and that is the Stalking Jack the Ripper series. I don't know if that's what the series is actually called, but I know there's like Escaping Houdini and Stalking Jack the Ripper and other ones, I think. I don't know how many are in the series right now. I just really do not like mystery, thrillers, or horror, so I'm just not interested in that series. I also know a little bit about Jack the Ripper. I've heard like things about him from people I know, and I really have no interest or desire to read anything about him. That stuff creeps me out. And the final prompt is, the saying goes the book is always better than the movie, but what movie or TV show adaptation do you prefer more than the book? This one is really, really easy for me. So there's a ton of books for me that are unpopular opinions that I love the movies better than the books. I'm choosing the one that the book is absolutely awful, but I love the movies. And there's a lot of books that I loved and were 5-star reads for me that I enjoy the movie more, but yeah, this one might not be a surprise for you if you follow my reviews on Goodreads. And that is all of the Narnia series. I'm only holding up The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe right now because this is the only one of the series that I've read so far that has movies. I've read The Silver Chair, The Horse and His Boy, and oh gosh, The Magician's Nephew. There we go, I got it. I was reading these recently. How did I already forget the names? I'm gonna finish the series at some point in the future, but like the movies make Lucy and Susan seem like, I don't know, just these amazing, beautiful, strong, empowered women. And then the book is like, sexism, sexism, sexism. Lucy can't use her gift that she got, and she's just gonna be so dumb and blank out and not know what to do, and she's gonna have to have a guy come up and be like, hey, you should be using your gift for this. oh, Susan, when she sees those wolves in that scene, she's just gonna get paralyzed with shock and not able to move and be unable to function. And then multiple parts in the story emphasize that the whole story and stuff is the woman's fault, so Lucy's fault. Do you know how much that pisses me off? Like, I definitely get that this was a different time. Okay, I get that. This book was written in a different time, but like the books are absolutely awful. Also, the other thing is, these are like supposed to be children's books. Have any of you actually read them? They're written in like this weird old-timey English. Kids should not be reading old-timey English. You should have your first experience of old-timey English in the 6th grade at the earliest. So when teachers are like, oh, here's this elementary schooler, let's give them Narnia to read, I'm like, no, don't do that. I read Narnia in the 3rd grade. I literally didn't understand it, so I didn't retain anything that I read. So yeah, if you want to get involved with the Narnia fandom, watch the movies and don't read the books because they're absolutely awful. And that is all for my unpopular book opinions tag. I really hoped you enjoyed this video. I hope you maybe agreed with like 1 or 2 of my opinions. It's okay if you disagreed with mine. This is just a fun little tag sharing my opinions on books. Again, as I said, all of the questions will be down below in the description, so if you want to do this video yourself, you can just find all the questions down below and do this tag. You can say that I tagged you if you really want to say that someone tagged you. It's completely fine. And make sure to give this video a thumbs up if you enjoyed it, and remember to subscribe to me if you haven't already. You can also feel free to follow me on all of my other social media, which I will have it all linked down in the description below. I hope all of you are having a great week, and I will see everyone in a future video. Bye!